All right, we're going to kick this podcast off with a question that was submitted to the Angry Snowboarder Instagram at Angry Snowboarder. Which this question it's kind of like a statement of the times too. This comes in from Damien Cobb. Do you think local shops are hurting the sport or dropping the ball when it comes to proper board and equipment fittings for new riders? I came into a local shop off using rental equipment once and was fitted for a Capita DOA, Union Forces, and 32 STW boots. After watching videos and listening to your content, I feel maybe it's not a good fit. I've been out 5 times, including a private lesson. I'm starting to do some blue runs and getting more comfortable. Would I have been better off on a different setup, or would my experience have been different? I ride the East Coast. Thanks. Love the content.
So to start off, your shop kid is a brand whore. Straight up. If you go into a shop and unless you are already looking for it and you walk out with Capita Union 32, that dude is being hooked up by Capita Union 32. And
I guarantee you he's on the East Coast and it's in Flower City Distribution, which is Dan Broadwell. Mm-hmm. And because those are 3 of his brands right in there. Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if he also ended up with like a 686 outerwear.
Probably ended with some 686 outerwear and probably definitely got some crab grab. Because all those brands are usually under the same distribution rep group. So,
and that's
the first thing that jumps out to me is DOA Forces and then the cheapest boot on the wall.
Yeah.
Like the STW is a $190 single BOA low-end
boot.
So, the dude was more concerned with getting you on a DOA and Forces than he wasn't fitting you in the right boots. I think, granted, I don't know anything about you other than this little comment here, but
I mean, the best boot's the one that fits your foot, and if that
at
boot
the end of the
fits
day,
your foot,
and if it did, absolutely. But I rarely find that an STW is going to be the best boot for somebody. It's usually somebody coming in that doesn't want to spend anything on a boot.
It's that, or
I hardly ever
it's
fit
the 3 to 5 day a year rider that doesn't care. They're spending more. It's 3 laps, go to the bar. 5 laps, go grab lunch.
Which at that
3
point,
more laps, they're done.
And at that point, you shouldn't be on a DOA and Forces.
Well, the DOA for someone that's ridden 5 times with 1 lesson, that's still too much board for him. The Forces are whatever because that's a binding. Like it's really not. It's a meat and potato binding in my opinion. It's not bad. It's not good.
Forces on anybody really.
Yeah. That's a binding that you can hold on to as you progress. That's fine. That's the way I look at it. That's not a bad investment. Mm-hmm. But the DOA, no, you would have been better off going, if it was Capita, Horoscope, Ultra Fear.
Outsiders, just outer space.
Outer space over the outsiders. The outsiders with that camber profile for someone that's only been 5 times might kill him. But
better than a DOA.
Yeah, it is a better board. And I'll debate that till the cows come home.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing is they literally saw this kid and just took him.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. They took him.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think that your experience would have been better off on a different setup? Yeah. And I think it would have been way different. If you'd had something that was a little more easy and forgiving to ride, there's a reason I choose to ride beginner boards for reviews. I ask companies and they're like, and when I deal with my reps locally, they're like, we don't have that in the fleet. And I'll go to the marketing person for the company and be like, send that to me. And they're like, well, and I was like, send it to me because yes, that person, they might buy that $300, $289 board, but then they go out and if they go more than 5 to 10 times, they will progress past that board. And generally, if they get hooked, they don't have a problem just ditching that board and getting something new.
Right.
And then if you have a good response with the company, they tend to stick to that. They become very brand loyal early on. I've noticed
and at the same time, it's nice to know, the person that knows that, they're like, I don't want to get something that's going to be more board than I need right now. But at the same time, I won't be able to afford to go get a new board after 1 year. It's good to know what beginner board out there will last more than 1 season for them.
Yeah, that too.
So that's part of the reason we do the reviews on the low end stuff is to give you an idea of how that stuff rides just in general, but also to know if you're trying to get a entry level board that you can actually hold on to for a while of what to go to and what to look at for that.
Yeah, and that's part of my whole conquest to make people more educated about snowboard equipment and everything, because that'll make people better snowboarders, and if we make better snowboarders, they become better at snowboarding, and in tune, snowboarding as a whole becomes better. That's the ongoing statement that we always have is that we won't make you better at snowboarding, we will just make you better snowboarders.
Yep.
And that's the thing. I mean, it's bullshit. Like when I see stuff like this, that it just fucking pisses me off to no end because all the years of working in shops, it's like, I get people that would want to argue with me that they needed something super high end, even though they've only ever ridden 3 days, and I would argue with them back. And finally, like if they piss me off, I'd concede and do that. But 9 times out of 10, when someone comes in, they're like, "Oh, I've only been 5 times. I've had one lesson." I'm like, "Okay, can you turn?" And they're like, "I can turn. Can you carve?" I'm learning. Okay, that's what I needed to hear. You can skid a turn. You don't need something that's going to be as stiff and as aggressive as the DOA. And, unfortunately, you got seen as a mark by some kid that doesn't care if you have a good time. He cares about pushing whatever company's giving him product.
Yep.
And that was the one thing when I worked in a shop was like, I was kind of the K2 guy, but at the same time, I knew everything on the wall that we sold, and I knew exactly what it was. And I always asked myself, I was like, okay, who's this for? This person, this person, this person, which is the same thing I do with the reviews. Try to find who the person is that's going to enjoy that product, push them towards that product. Because at the end of the day, like if I really wanted to, I could pull a James Beastie, say everything's the fucking best, push it at you, not allow you to engage or comment on anything we're doing, and put you in the wrong setup. Like that, there's no doubt in my mind that guy has set people up on the wrong setup across the board. And to go back to do you think it's hurting snowboarding and they're dropping the ball? Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I think it drastically hurts it because anytime someone when they start out and they have that bad initiation towards snowboarding, they don't do it as much or they drop it completely. Like,
or they go back to skiing.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah.
But you see that, and it's one of those things that it hurts as a whole because, like, I'm from the generation that had the most participants in snowboarding, and I've watched it decline, plateau, and then slightly uptick. And I want this, like, we'll never be a 50-50 between skiing and snowboarding. I just don't think that'll ever happen.
Yeah.
Till all the baby boomers die and their kids die and their grandkids die.
Then we might.
There,
so
we might get
60 years from now.
Yeah, I'll be dead, so it doesn't matter. Well, I'll probably be dead in 4 years anyways. But it doesn't help anything, and that's why I chose this question, was because this shit is out there. Like, this is why I want to educate people. Like, if you have some friends that are starting out, you need to introduce them to like what we do over here. You need to help them. You need to be that good friend to guide them. Not hold their hand and not direct them to what you ride, but help them, guide them into snowboarding, because the guy that goes 5 days could easily become the guy that goes 10 days, 15, 20 days. And the more money we bring in, the stronger everything becomes. And you never know. Like, I started snowboarding because I needed something to do that wasn't skateboarding in the winter. And I had a punch pass with 8 Reynolds, 8 lift tickets through my school ski club. Like, that's when I really got into it. And by the 3rd time, I knew that was the thing, and the Reynolds sucked, but I ran out that punch pass. The second I ran out that punch pass, I went one more time on that punch pass, used the rental, said screw it, took all my money, went and bought a used setup, got 25 days that year, which wasn't bad for a high school kid that actually only worked like 1 or 2 nights a week in a restaurant, making $5.25 an hour.
Yep, I remember those days.
Oh, yeah.
Making that.
Fucking washing dishes at Pascarella's restaurant with Big Gay Ray hitting on me the whole time. Love that man. He didn't care if you were male or female. You were getting sexually harassed in his kitchen.
Good for him.
Yeah, it was great. But that's the whole thing. And
yeah, I mean, and like, this is one of the things that I've absolutely drilled into all of my shop kids. Anybody that's worked with me, like, one of the perks of working in a shop, especially a shop my size, is you more or less, unless somebody already is attached to that brand, you get to pick a brand if they're willing. You get to pick a brand, you get some free stuff, and you sell that brand. However, I have made it very clear to them that, yes, you will sell that brand first if it makes sense, and if it's available, and if it's right. If it's not, and I see you selling the wrong shit to somebody just because it's that brand you're supposed to push, then you don't get free shit anymore. Because I, luckily, have the ear of all my reps well enough that I'll just tell them, this dude's doing it wrong. He's not representing my shop right. He doesn't get stuff anymore. So all of my shop kids will sell their brand first, but they also know that if you come in and you're a 5-day-a-year rider, they're not going to put you on an aggressive twin. They're going to put you on something that's actually easy to ride. And if that happens to be something from a different brand, well, that's what they're going to put you on. So, yeah, it's really, really frustrating for me, somebody that trains shop kids, to see that whoever's in charge of this kid is dropping the ball. So while it certainly is the fault of the shop kid as well, I almost blame the management more, because they should be the ones on top of this person to make sure that they're actually doing their job right and not just selling stuff, but selling the right stuff. And so that's the big thing. That's probably the most frustrating part for me, is whoever's in charge of the shop, wherever you went, like, they just don't give a shit. So it's not only the shop kid that doesn't give a shit, but it's the owner that doesn't give a shit either.
It's just like a trickle down effect of it. Mm-hmm. So like when I worked at the shop that Kevin works at, so Kim was our Burton girl, Scott was our ride guy, Deaf Steve was whoever he wanted to be because he didn't give a shit. Mm-hmm. It was, this is the best today. Steve, did they give you a sticker? Yes. Okay, Steve, I got you. I was kind of the K2 guy, but I'd written everything on the wall. Jason was our Solomon guy, and that's kind of, and it got to the point, like when we were selling, if we were in the middle of a sale and we just like knew we were over our head, you grab the person for the brand and you pass them off and just give them the sale, regardless if you didn't get the commission. And it worked out well, unless it was Deaf Steve, because we all kind of just gave Deaf Steve sales because he was deaf. But there was that, and then it goes back to like something I mentioned in a previous podcast when we hired Curtis, the art dealer. That fucking kid, dude. Fucking, we just snaked his sales. We would stop people before they'd leave the store and be like, we're going to return that and we're going to get you on the right stuff. And he'd be sitting there, and I remember pulling him in the back and be like, you're a fucking moron. You are a fucking moron. You are selling for the sake of selling and not doing anything to help people. He's like, well, I'm a snowboarder. And I was like, yeah, right, dude. You got your fucking Italian leather shoes on. Fuck off. Fuck you. Fucking piece of shit. He's probably still selling fucking artwork somewhere and hanging out with that snake cult he was in. Whatever.
Sweet snake cults.
Yeah, snake cults.
Yeah.
But
so yeah, do we think it's hurting snowboarding for local shops not selling the right stuff? Absolutely.
Yeah. And I understand why people go to online. Like, for the longest time, I used to just pressure people, be like, shop local, shop local. Now I'm like, oh, your local shop sucks? Fuck it. Here's a link to Evo. Here's one to Backcountry. Here's one to the house. Ask me all your questions. I'll be your shop guy. And that's like kind of that. Yeah,
and shop local if that shop's worth supporting. If it's not worth supporting, then they need to die. Sorry. That's just the way it is.
Yep, that's capitalism. Like, I'm over it. Like, it was funny. My old coworker, Chris, and roommate hit me up. And he was having he was dealing with Eastern Border, and the guys were like trying to shame him into supporting them to buy a skateboard deck, just a grip deck that they wouldn't even grip for him because they didn't know how, for $60-something. And he's like, why would I do that when I can order the exact same one online for $39.99 and just go skate? He's like, fuck you, I'll just do it from them. And I was like, dude, you have the right to choose that. Like, and they're sitting there talking shit to him, and it's like, you know what, man? All right, you just lost me. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, survival of the fittest out there. Like, everyone's like, oh, if we lose the local shop, we're going to lose the scene. No, we're not going to lose the scene. The whole scene has completely changed. Like, more people are stoked on Instagram celebrities in their local scene than they are on the guy that works at their local shop.
The scene is social media and on the mountain. That's where the scene is.
Yeah. Like, YouTube has been one of the weirdest communities I've ever joined into in snowboarding. Like, and I've been in a lot of online snowboarding communities, but YouTube is like by far the weirdest and also the most supportive. Like, there's a lot of my videos that I've done, like just me or stuff that we've done that I've put out, and I'm like, God, that thing is going to be so thumbs down, and it gets like 1 thumbs down. I'm like, huh? Okay. One person was angry with that?
Yeah.
Unless it's the skate banana video. That one's got a lot.
Yeah, well,
whatever. But
we're just in denial.
Yeah, but that's the thing. This whole, like, we need to support the local scene because it builds everything up. And it's like, it doesn't anymore, man.
It doesn't
like,
anymore. It hurts.
I fair bet I'd say Kevin and TJ over at Snowboard Pro Camp have done more to stoke people out on snowboarding than any local shop has done in the last 5 years.
Oh yeah.
Like those guys have like done more, I think, in that regard to build up hype around snowboarding. I don't even think they realize they have lightning on the bottle over there, but whatever.
No, they don't.
But it's this. The reason I brought this up is it just pisses me off, and this is why we do what we do. This is like the big thing. Like we want everyone to be more educated and just make them better snowboarders in general.
Mm-hmm.
Not better at snowboarding, just better snowboarders.
Yep.